October is here, and a lot of people are excited for the cryptocurrency market because we have been beaten down so much throughout the rest of the year. And now there's signs of a pivot coming from the Fed, and a lot of people are wondering where should they invest their hard-earned dollars into crypto. I'm going to go over 5 of the top cryptos to buy now in the cryptocurrency market. Now, of course, there are disclaimers. My portfolio is not your portfolio. I'm not buying all of these myself even. I hold positions in all of them except for one, which I had a position in a while ago. But I'll go through that as we walk through it. Just know that I'm not telling you what to buy. You have to do your own research. You can skip around too if you want, but I would highly suggest staying through to the end because there's a lot that we have to cover. Now, the cryptocurrency market cap is down under $1 trillion. As I said, we've been being down pretty far this year, and that's mostly due to the fact that the Fed has been raising rates so aggressively and causing a lot of people to think that we're going into a recession. Now, we still have some things out on the horizon that are scaring people, like the Ukraine-Russia war, like Credit Suisse that now is possibly going to fall because of poor financials and their credit spreads. We also have the DXY, which has raced up all year long, pretty much the dollar destroying all other currencies, including Bitcoin, but also a lot of global currencies, which isn't great for stocks in general, and that's not great for crypto either. Now, we are seeing it come down a little bit. We had it around 115 just a few days ago. Now it's around 110, so we're starting to see a little bit of relief in the markets. And we just got news yesterday of UN warning that there's possibly going to be a recession due to imprudent monetary policy. Basically saying, hey, the US is raising rates way too aggressively. You have to stop doing that because it will crush other countries and it will generate a huge recession. So there's a little bit of pressure being put on the Fed. We also have just Monday, the whopping 10 basis point of cuts now expected in 2023. So before this, just about a week or two ago, the market was really being hammered. And that was mostly due to the fact that we thought we were actually going to see more raises at the end of 2023 than the beginning. We were going to see a higher Fed funds rate, I should say, at the end of 2024 instead of 2023. Compared to back when the market was doing really well, we were thinking that we were actually going to see this pivot in 2023 and we're going to have the Fed actually lowering rates. Now we're starting to see a little bit of market excitement because we are seeing that flip back around, and we are now expecting, as of Tuesday, because I am recording this a day ahead of time, we are expecting them to actually lower rates throughout 2023. From the beginning to the end, we are expecting some kind of rate cuts, and we're expecting the Fed to pivot here soon and just stop raising rates so aggressively. Now, I do want to say, before we get into the specific cryptos, right, this is an exciting time. If the Fed U-turns, or if they pivot, I should say, because that's going to come before our U-turn. If the Fed pivots, it's going to be great for the markets, and that's what I think we're pricing in on Monday and Tuesday, at least. That's why the market is moving up so aggressively. So there's a lot of excitement for this. If they don't raise rates, if we go into a massive recession or something like that, if something else collapses, or if Ukraine and Russia ramp up the war, that could all be pretty negative towards cryptocurrency and the stock market. But we have been beaten down a lot, which is why I think we do have to still look at some of the best assets to look at, because I think at this point there's a greater chance that we see a bounce in October than we see it fall. So just do your own due diligence. Now, if you want some free money, you can get the link underneath the video to Moomoo and start depositing. You can get up to 15 free stocks. You can get thousands of dollars. So take advantage of that. Even if you sell off the stocks and put it into crypto, it's a super easy way to make money. So let's look at the first crypto here, Bitcoin. Bitcoin is my first one. Just a couple different things you have to realize. Credit Suisse just came out with how many millionaires are in the world. 62.5 million at the end of 2021. This is up from, I believe it was 55 million last year. So a lot of new millionaires were created last year. We grew over 10% in 1 year. Now, this means that there is less than half a Bitcoin. I think it's right around 0.3 Bitcoin or so for each person. There's a cap supply of Bitcoin that is just around 21 million, and it's going to be harder and harder to get your hands on one Bitcoin. That's not even accounting for all the Bitcoin that's already held by large entities that aren't going to sell, like MicroStrategy. They have almost one supply of the overall market cap, or one supply of the overall circulating supply of Bitcoin. Especially when you take into account all the Bitcoin that's lost, right? There aren't actually 19 or 20 million Bitcoin circulating right now because a lot of it has been lost early days. People just didn't see the value and they threw out thumb drives, or Satoshi holds 1 million Bitcoin. So there are a lot of people that just won't be able to get a full Bitcoin. So that's a goal, to get to one full Bitcoin. We also have so many governments making so many, I don't want to say boneheaded decisions, but so many questionable decisions over the last couple of years, from printing into oblivion to starting to raise rates to some countries having to go back and start cutting rates again, or lowering taxes, or coming in and bailing out bonds. A lot of people just aren't going to trust the monetary system, and so many people don't realize that there's a better solution to it, but Bitcoin can't be changed. It can't be, or it won't be changed in terms of circulating supply. There's just such a reason to hold it in this kind of environment where your dollars are being inflated away, right? In the US, we have over 8% inflation. Still, other countries have 15, 17, 70% inflation, right? So there's never been a better reason to hold it than when we see all this happening. Also, just looking at what happened with Ukraine, there's such a utility for Bitcoin too, being able to send it across the world. And we're not just talking about someone trying to move, $1 billion or something like that and not having to move it in gold, but holding a scarce asset like Bitcoin where they can move it over in a click for $1 or something like that. We're also talking about people that literally aren't allowed outside of their country, or have to escape, and the only thing they have is what's in their head. So you can hold on to a seed phrase a lot easier than you can hold on to gold or something like that. So it's a great thing to have if you are someone that is in trouble. Now, we also saw the Canadian trucker movement, where people were actually cut off, frozen from their accounts if they were just thought of as being part of that without even having any kind of due process. So again, just more governments, more uncertainty. I think it's a great thing to have, kind of like you want probably guns, bullets, water. If you're an end of the world person, if you're worried about that kind of thing, you want Bitcoin in case of economic uncertainty as well. We also have big institutions starting to raise money to buy Bitcoin. NYDIG just raised $720 million, possibly to buy Bitcoin. This would be 36,000 Bitcoin that they're buying, and there are other companies and people that are doing the same thing. They're just accumulating. So looking at the Bitcoin price, first let's look at the weekly here. The 200-week moving average is right around 23,600 and rising. We're around 20,100 at the time of this recording. So we're below, about 15% below the 200-week moving average. Historically, a great time to be buying. Typically, we don't see more than 2 weeks under this 200-week moving average. Now we've seen a couple months, with the exception of just a few weeks here, a couple months where we've seen this. And we've held support here at 17,500. We've bounced a couple times above that mark. So we haven't tested the prior lows, and it's looking like this is a really good time to be buying historically. We also have some people saying that they're buying in for the first time. They thought we were going to fall lower, and now they're actually going to start DCAing, which I think is positive as well. When we look at the 1 day here, the 1 day chart, you can see this down, this trend line that we've not been able to break through. We're getting really close. Actually, technically, I believe we actually just broke through it. So when we look down here, we just broke through, and this is something that we've seen us get rejected from for a year, basically. I think it's actually since last November, so 11 months. So we're breaking through this now. That's positive. If we also look a little bit closer in, right, let's look at the 4 hour here. We actually have just a small area here too that we broke through. When we look here, we bounced off of it twice, or got rejected by it twice, and then broke through it last night. I talked about yesterday in my video how I was longing at that point. I actually did a 50x long, which I don't typically do. I only did it with $75, but when you look here, I'm up 160%. So you can make these low plays too when the market's kind of sideways, and you can still make a lot of money. Now there's a ton of risk in a 50x long, and I would not do it with any sizable position in my portfolio, but I'll take $113. That's awesome. So if you guys want to sign up and do that yourself, there is a link to BitGet underneath the video where you can start longing and shorting. And with the link underneath the video, you can sign up and get 15 USDT for free. So it'll start you on your way a little bit. Then we also have Ethereum. That's crypto number 2. We had the merge happen back, when was that? Back in September, about halfway through the month. And so far, I think it's been really successful. We had a sell-off when this happened, and that was what we were expecting anyways. We weren't expecting it to go to the moon, especially in this kind of market environment. But since that happened, the supply of Ethereum has gone drastically down. So we've had about 11,000 new Ethereum issued. It would be about 3.8% if we didn't go to proof of stake. So that is really bullish. We cut down on the new supply issued by almost 20x. We also have the fact that Bitcoin is still 10x more inflationary than Ethereum now. And this is when Ethereum isn't being used that much either. It's not like there's a lot of fees happening or that's really expensive right now because there's not much excitement in crypto. We don't have like a big NFT boom or play to earn or anything like that exploding. So the fact is that this will go down probably even from here and probably go negative as we get more and more people into cryptocurrency and as we get more people back into cryptocurrency, even just from a year or two ago. So this will be really deflationary in my opinion. We also have the fact that it just changes how people hold Ethereum. Like before we had Ethereum miners that were constantly selling. Now we're going to have Ethereum stakers that constantly stake. So there's not going to be that selling pressure on Ethereum all the time because people can just leave it staked and make more and more money and stack and stack and stack. Especially with it being deflationary, people are going to want as much Ethereum as possible. So I would definitely look at Ethereum. We also have a downtrend line going back from November of last year. And it's not perfect, but you can see we kind of went just above it here. And then below it, we haven't come up to meet it again. But if we could break through that, I think that'd be really bullish. Right now, it's sitting around 1,650 or so. If we go out a couple weeks, though, it's down to in the 1,500s. So I would definitely pay attention to Ethereum. I think it's going to be fantastic after the merge. Then we also have Polygon. That's crypto number 3. Polygon's partnerships over the last 12 months. DraftKings, NFL, Adobe, Starbucks, Disney, Mercedes, Meta, Reddit. They are fantastic. So they have some of the biggest partnerships. They've been working the most. They have some of the biggest investments that they've been making. We're talking about like hundreds of millions of dollars invested in SDKs and roll-ups. That's going to be fantastic. And it's going to take some time. But I think when we see the next bull run, and so many people are looking at Ethereum thinking, why am I paying $3 gas fees or 20 or 200? People are going to go to Polygon, and Polygon still is so much scaled up from Ethereum. Ethereum still doesn't process many transactions per second, and for anything that's high volume, like all of these things, they're going to need something like Polygon. So like Starbucks wants an NFT reward system for holders, and they can get drinks and special things like that. So I think there's still going to be such a use case for Polygon for a long time. And right now, they're still quite a small market cap. They're only $7 billion. I mean, that's still large in crypto. Don't get me wrong, it's top 11. But when you compare that to something like Ethereum, we're talking about orders of magnitude smaller, right? Like 30x smaller. They also announced back in August that they have now 37,000 dApps and 11.8 thousand active teams working on Polygon. Many projects are increasingly choosing to build solely on Polygon. Alchemy data shows that 74% of teams integrated exclusively on Polygon. There's a reason for this. It's very low cost. It's very high transaction speed. I've worked on it before too. It's, instead of waiting 10, 30, 50 seconds for something to go through, it happens in a second or something like that. So still being down pretty far from its high. It was at $3 Now it's at 84 cents. Of course, it could go down further. It went all the way down to 33 cents and has rebounded really well. Now, it still looks like it's falling down a little bit here recently, but that's just the overall softness in the market. And keep in mind, too, with this, I am buying exclusively Bitcoin because I think the Bitcoin dominance is really low, and I think a lot of cryptos will bleed against Bitcoin. So I'm not saying to necessarily go out and buy all these altcoins now. I personally am buying only Bitcoin, but I am wanting to buy more of these. And once we see a confirmed pivot from the Fed or crypto starting to jump up, that would be a fantastic time to buy these because we'll most likely see Bitcoin move first, and then we'll see altcoins move after that. And then the fourth crypto on this list is actually one that I don't talk about too much. It's BNB. So many people find that BNB is just boring or not. They don't have a lot of hype behind it, but they have held up so well. They're down less than 60%, which I realize me saying that they held up well and they're down 60% sounds kind of crazy. But when you compare that to Bitcoin, Bitcoin's down, 70% plus? And BNB is down less than that. It's doing really well in this bear market. It's number 4 overall. And the reason for this, it has great utility. So you can use it for fees on the Binance Smart Chain. You can participate in exclusive token sales and more. They also burn a significant amount every single quarter. So I forgot exactly how much they used to burn. I think it was 25% of their earnings. But you can see that they're burning 2 million BNB a quarter, give or take. So this is 500 million over a quarter they're burning of BNB. Now it is it is just a large market cap compared to other cryptocurrencies. So the burn, it's not like they're burning a few percent every quarter. They're burning less than that, but that's still 1% of their overall supply. And as the market has fallen down, they've been able to buy more and more and burn more and more. So that's really positive. It's just constantly good news. It's constant burning and constant deflation of the supply overall. And they have the highest volume out there. So they have 10x the volume of the next highest volume exchange. They dominate in crypto, and this is just their utility token. So it's a great thing to buy if you want something that's not going to be super volatile in crypto, but it's just going to continue to plug along and probably do really well. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if a couple other cryptos beat it out eventually, like if the next best layer one, like a Solana or Polygon or something like that, because Polygon's a layer 2 and kind of a layer 1 as well, if they beat it out eventually, but it's still going to stick in the top 10 in my opinion, unless it just loses 90% of its volume or something like that. Now that was a little bit drastic. If it lost 50% or 60% of its volume, I think people would get worried about the token, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. And then I will give an honorable mention to Solana. I really do like Solana. There hasn't been too much news on Solana. It still has a lot of people using it. It has gone down again one more time this week. In the last week, I think it went down, but I still think it will do really well. Fast transaction speeds, good throughput. So I still think it will do well. But then the fifth thing that we had to talk about, the fifth crypto, I say, on this list is actually Cash. So I realize that's kind of a cop-out. I gave you an honorable mention so that way you wouldn't be angry. There are a ton of other cryptos out there, but I think Cash is really important still in this market because we don't know what's going to happen moving forward. If Bitcoin all of a sudden goes down and breaks through prior lows and we don't have a bottom, if we fall down to 13,000, you're going to definitely wish you had some cash. So I would keep some cash on the sidelines. Now, there are different ways of generating cash, either from your active income. If you can sell options, I've been talking about that a little bit more on the channel too. I have a full video that I'll put on the end screen. That's a 40-minute video that goes through selling options, and I'm making $1,000 a month plus in options right now. So watch that video, but I think you do have to have some cash in this kind of uncertain market. Now, let me know which of these cryptos you're most excited about. Let me know what cryptos you're buying underneath the video. Be careful of the scammers. Definitely check out the links to Moomoo underneath the video to get that free money because it's so easy. And then also BitGet in case you want to start buying and selling cryptocurrency on margin. Now, of course, be careful. Only do this if you're an experienced trader. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.